Welcome back to the show, everybody. We tonight have those three guys back with us: Bryan in Bowden, Carlito, Castro, and Thomas Kardos. They've joined us. We picked another topic here, and we're going to be talking about ancient civilizations and the ancient technologies. Legends have been told, stories handed down through oral traditions of civilizations lost to time. But there are still many sites that are being discovered all throughout the world that show advanced knowledge that was clearly used, construction that even to this day, we still do not know how exactly it was done. There's been theories, and that's part of the thing that we'll get into in tonight's show. So just sit back and enjoy this one. This is a topic that's going to be pretty interesting to talk about. Ancient civilizations and technologies. It's right now. Welcome to the Three Beards podcast. My name is Craig, along with Austin and Chris.
Passed to a new generation of Americans born in this century.
Let me out.
I'm afraid that is right.
Then live to send the innocent to their death? Is this justice and honor in Massachusetts colony?
All right, and Chris, we're back. Once again, like I said, we were doing this thing. So there we go. He's brought him in. And then, like I said, we got just a couple minutes here, so we need to bring these other guys in real quick here. Bring Carlito, Tom, and Bryan to the show. How are you?
Hey, everybody. How's it going? Doing good.
Good. Well, welcome, everybody. Like I said, and we'll kind of let Carlito's got to run here in a second. He's got to go play Uber and go pick somebody up.
Well, yeah, I have an hour, but, like in an hour from now, this was when I got to leave. So.
Oh, okay. So you have till 9:05 our time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. When you're saying 8:05, I'm thinking you're talking Eastern.
No.
So I'm like, wow, you got 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
no.
Fine, bye.
We're on Texas time. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So that makes more sense. We got an hour with Carlito, so we have a little more time. All right. It's not as pressing as once done there. So
absolutely.
As I teased, but the best thing. You've got Tom Kardos, North Carolina Cryptid and Paranormal Project, on Facebook. The name is failing me. I always forget this one. I apologize, Carlito. I always forget that one.
Oh,
the name of it.
Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. See, why that one's hard. I don't know.
Right? It's shorter. Yeah. Shorter than Tom's. Yeah.
Yeah. So check both those out. You can also go to Bryan in Bowden on Facebook. As long as he tries to keep himself out of Facebook prison. Yeah, so his page is still accessible. You can still find him there, and it shows all the different avenues you can find him. He may not be able to personally reach out to you yet in Facebook, so sometime in April he may, he might arise from the ashes.
Bryan's a repeat offender.
Yes,
so
he's a regular customer.
I'm a repeat offender as well.
Chris, Bryan is Facebook, maximum prison. Chris up there is county lockup in Facebook. He just occasionally goes in for the drunk stint, and he gets pulled back out
over the weekend DUI or something.
Yeah, it's me over here, just like the dad, just shaking his head. I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah, but like we tease. So ancient, Carlito, this was your, you picked this one, ancient civilizations and technologies, and so I teased this. First off, welcome everybody to the show. Really appreciate seeing everybody. Chris, Laura, Mona, we got April's tuning in too. That's awesome. Glad to see everybody. Chassis, I'm sure, is in there somewhere. I probably have missed, but just get to this. Like I teased, we'll get into some of the civilizations, and then we'll also get in some of the where we've seen some of the technologies where they're really not knowing how they do it, but then I've also seen some where they've actually recreated some. Like a tease, like they actually showed one where using the power of the sun.
Yes.
This guy, they think they figured out how they drilled those perfect holes in rock.
Yep.
And so we'll get into that.
What you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, and so with these things, what it does is, we all know the show, the hair, aliens. They always talk about this, everything is aliens. Everything's alien technology. And myself personally, I think it robs us of that natural ability we have of problem solving. I think humans have had such a profound. I mean, aliens didn't create. I mean, maybe Michelangelo, was an alien. We said we have no proof of this, but it's just you have these natural talents that are just Leonardo da Vinci. I mean, how does somebody have that natural ability? Where most people don't, and that's why I said. That doesn't mean that it's some supernatural alien civilization that's come down and imparted this knowledge in him. He's just that next level. And so, we'll get into that. So, Carlito, this is yours. So where do you want to start on this one?
Okay, well, you just mentioned Tesla, and I'd like to kind of put some info on that. I think, my theory is that, yes, he was a super genius alongside with, all the rest of the geniuses back in that day. But I think more he was a chosen one because, like I said, there was many geniuses, but none of them were chosen like him. You know what I mean? In their dreams, aliens, it said, I think even he mentioned it, but it said that aliens came into his dreams and gave him all the ideas that he had for his inventions and humanity and making humanity better, which is the endless power tower he made or whatever. And so I'm thinking that he was the chosen one. He was lucky because he was a chosen one from the, alien beings. And that being said, if we, that's just touching on Tesla, though. I don't know what y'all think about that.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of pose that to you guys there too. I mean, I've always felt like with the Akashic record that there's something that some of these people, Casey, Da Vinci, these ones that Tesla, they've touched that Akashic record and they've been able to pull this stuff. I think that's why a lot of them end up going, things go so awry later on in life. It's just you can only tap into so much. I mean, I'm a sci-fi nerd, so Stargate.
Right.
When he taps into that, he gets that download and then he just starts going crazy. It's because it's too much information for our brains to process.
Hey, sorry, Craig, you had mentioned it wasn't Tesla, it was Da Vinci that you had mentioned, which is another genius. And I studied him and I got tons of books of him too. But he's another genius that had inventions as well as Tesla. So, but he wasn't chosen like Tesla. That's the difference of my theory.
When I look back at all these people who have gone well before us and in the time frame that they've gone, Tesla, I used to be a real Albert Einstein fan, and then I realized that Tesla was a lot far superior to Einstein in many ways. You could fight about that, but
I agree.
There's one thing that all of these individuals have in common that we don't have as much today, and that's called time. They had a lot of time. They had a lot of free time.
Right.
There weren't many, if any, type of mind loss, like with social media or movies or going out on dates or whatever.
TV, radio, all that,
People didn't have the kind of cash back then to just say, hey, I'm going to go on a vacation. They had this time to mull and think. There's not much else going on. During Da Vinci and Michelangelo, you're looking at plagued Europe and the world. And they're sitting there trying to keep away in their own lockdowns, but they're able to work things out a little bit more. They'll test it. I think it was Leonardo da Vinci was famous for getting caught stealing bodies. He used to steal bodies all the time because what he was doing is, if you've seen some of the drawings, and you'll get the veins and all the muscle structure, and he was like measuring them and putting them precisely down.
Right.
I guess when you have that kind of time and freedom and lack of a lot of people didn't have that kind of knowledge back then.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much of it was alien based, and I don't discredit. I mean, I can totally, see aliens being involved in, that step. But I think it's more. There are some people that are more adept at solving problems than others. There you go.
Like, I mean, here's an example of this for everybody that's not listening. You show up here. You got to remember this isn't modern like 18th, 19th century. This is 14, the 14th, 15th century. And so you look at this stuff and you're like, this looks almost borderline like what you'd see in a medical textbook.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
Absolutely.
And this was simply a guy back that, like you said, he's, as macabre as it, as it sounds, he's raiding dead bodies and just basically peeling them apart and seeing how things work.
Yeah.
Now you got a couple of guys in here that work with their hands for a living for the most part. They're builders. They deal with, Tom's HVAC, Carlito, you builder too. I don't know bothly what Craig and Chris do. I came from where my grandfather was.
We dispose of the bodies. We dispose of them.
You dispose of we need you.
Sanitation, huh?
We get the lie going. But I can tell you that, my father-in-law was very mechanically inclined, just like my grandfather. And I do the same thing. I've learned how to take things apart and put them in a certain order and how they operate, and then to be able to put it back together or fix things. I didn't learn that from a textbook. I didn't have anybody whispering in my ear or from that I'm aware of. But, it's just something that you do. But I like that thought about the Akash record.
But I think everything at that point in time back in the day was done by trial and error. And there's some documentation to support that. Like, they wrote down, well, we tried it this way. It didn't work. So, if you look at the way they wrote stuff, they actually, seems like they created stuff by trial and error.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've known people that have worked on construction jobs. I see them a lot of these guys on YouTube, and they've been a certain way of doing things. Boom, boom, boom. And then they figure out, like, this is stupid. And they figure out just a little thing that revolutionizes the business. How to put, how to get a circuit box, like one of those boxes for wiring between two 2x4s that are this big. How are you going to hammer it in? And necessity is the mother of invention. But I like the Akash record thought too, because when you have a lot of time, maybe you have a lot of thought, which is meditation. Maybe you can actually tap into that record.
Yeah, that's what I think it is, because you see stuff like Nikola Tesla. He went crazy at the end. I mean, he basically fell in love with a pigeon. And so here's a guy who could in the 1800s was able to come up with a concept of wireless technology that we have that we're just developing today. And this was I should say it's being commercially developed today. We're going to use that there. I'm pretty sure that there's that technology is well in use in other aspects of our society. But this is, for one, just like the thing is, as we'll get into it, this, for anybody that doesn't really understand what the Akashic record is, it's past, present, future. All information is stored in here. It's the grand depository of knowledge. Everybody's emotions, thoughts, ingenuity, everything is there. And there's some of us that seem to have that ability to, in varying degrees, tap into it. Einstein is one too. It's just where there's these ones that they have this ability that just seems otherworldly, but there's actually, and so, and I think that's one of those ones, like we'll get into some of the ancient ones, like Lemuria, Mu, and when we get to some like the Atlantis, I think some of these ones, they knew how to access this, pull information, and then they were able to develop it into, promoting their society and actually growing it to the level that it was. Because I guess we can start there. Do you want to start with the granddaddy of them, Atlantis?
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'd love to, because I don't want to take away from anybody, but I've been thinking about a lot of this. When you hear the stories of Atlantis, not just from Plato, there are other stories of people talking about the same type of construct, same type of strange entities that were amongst these individuals where all this knowledge is coming, the 3 concentric rings. And everybody's done, documentary upon documentary of it, about it. And I got to the point where I think one of the reasons why you can't find Atlantis is because it was moved from point A to B to C to D. And the reason why, and this is where you're going to get the aliens in it and Carlito, I think Atlantis was a unidentified submersible object, an alien craft that would rise to the top. They had the 3 concentric rings. They had the individuals. They talked about them having web feet, super intelligent, well versed in all forms of education. Talking about medicine, herbs, everything. And then magically there's a fire and an earthquake and it disappears. Well, a rocket engine or a craft of that size emitting that kind of energy to lift off or submerge would do the same thing. It would cause a rumble. And so I think this thing was actually basically, for all intents and purposes, a UFO.
Yeah.
Good point.
I could honestly see that too. It's just, we're one of those, because there's all these locations and kind of print on there. I'm going to show a picture here for anybody that doesn't understand. This is kind of a visualization of what the rings. But so if you pictured this you see these ones. If this was a craft, because you see like some of the places like the eye of the Sahara, you see these different locations. Well, what if those are in fact just the imprints or a footprint, say, of this craft? And that's so when it takes off, just like a UFO landing, where it'll burn that area into the ground, and you'll see those circles where a UFO supposedly landed. Maybe that's the same thing. So where everybody is kind of on the same page, like, I think this is the location. Well, I think this is the location because you could see this looks like 3 rings. That may fit into your theory that it moves from place to place.
If you notice, that resembles like one of those what do they call those alien when they land and they burn the grass? What are those called again?
Not a crop
circle. Yeah, kind of like a crop circle, because it's perfectly symmetrical, if you could tell, and it looks like it's some type of indentation, like Craig said, which is that where it burned off the land.
It's a theory I've had for a bit, thinking about it, because it does lend to an explanation of why it's appearing. There are multiple cultures talking about the same thing, the same object, and it may be 3 separate objects. Maybe what they do is they are in a craft, they submerge, right, and then when they come up, I've seen this before because I had fish tanks that have gone really low, and what happens is that seawater or the salt water, after a while, you'll start getting like this, like covering on it, like a grass. And if you let it grow longer and the sun starts hitting it, you start growing vegetation there, which is very rich for growing, because it has all this, call it excrement from other animals on it. And, someone who's never seen a flying object before or anything like that would think it was just land, because it looks like there's grass rings and there's channels within it. It's a plausible idea. I know we're all crazy, but just think about it.
No, they had good technology too. They had, apparently they had some war stuff, some ancient war tech. They had some Greek fire cannon with high-tech tridents used by Atlantean soldiers. I mean, they had stuff beyond years of comprehension. What's claimed to be what they had. So,
Yeah.
The web, they talked about in certain instances, a couple different versions where they talk about web feet
yeah.
and
Mhm.
webbing within their hands. They were always described very. If we look at the description of some of the Atlanteans themselves, it kind of gels with what some people have seen with Pleiadians and a couple other types of extraterrestrial entities or races.
Well,
that are-
reptilians have webs too.
Yes. Oh, 100%. But I don't think they would be that. The Atlanteans always seem to be not like a warring nation, but like we can handle ourselves, and they'll demonstrate that. Like we can put you on your butt. But
Right.
reptilians, from what I know, very aggressive. They're not going to be sitting there telling you how to do a medical procedure on somebody. They're just going to kill you.
Well, there's a theory that those human type beings from Atlantis once lived underwater. It's a theory now.
Yep.
And then they came on land, which were basically what we call now mermaids and mermen.
Yep.
And they came on land, and then they established their but they transferred from water first to land.
I'll throw this to you guys. What if it was genetic and body modifications?
Possibly.
Because I'm a big believer that we're not the first human civilization that's been on this planet. That
Amen.
we're like that. There's been many. Because if anybody that knows, if you actually look at it, like if we were to actually go and have like what's going on right now, this turns into like a nuclear war. Nukes start going off. Mm-hmm. It's going to be. It's not even going to be a decade, and we'll be back to almost the Stone Age.
Yep.
Because nobody knows how to make anything.
Well,
Right.
this is funny you say
There's
that.
going to be a big reset. Yeah.
Because this is where the fossil record is not accurate. They're discovering on a daily basis places throughout the world that have radiation, like exactly the same thing that has taken place in any nuclear test site or where nuclear reactions have come.
Look at Chernobyl. Yeah.
Well, besides Chernobyl's man-made, but we're talking about in the middle of the Gobi Desert. There are spots where they can't explain, but there's a radiation perimeter that's off the chart, and it shouldn't be there. There's also burn marks that coincide with radioactive type of or an explosion.
Yeah. So there's no reason for it to be there.
Well, just think about recent discoveries. Some of the objects that people have discovered recently, like I forgot the circle looks like a computer. It looks like a wheel within a wheel. That they got the name of the object, and then they found something that looks just like the cell phone that was buried.
Yep.
It's like almost 1 million years old. What if it's kind of like a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? They just rebuild it. We get to a point, we do stupid things. Case in point, this year, and then crap hits the fan. We obliterate, and they rebuild again. They say, "Okay, well, we learned our lesson on this one. Don't do this."
Yeah. I think. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
So now while we're running around here thinking Ericsson's bag phones was the first phone, they found something that looked like a phone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Looked like an old Nokia phone.
Yeah, it did.
And then the theory that you were talking about earlier, that the theory of the webbing,
Yep.
I mean, that would back that theory up for me, that they were sea creatures first, because the webbing would help them swim. So that would really back that theory up in my eyes. I mean, I would need a little more confirmation on it, but that's probably all we're gonna ever get, not unless we find some other records or something that just comes out later on.
We gotta connect to that Akash record, then you'll know what the real deal is.
And I put a picture up here. These are some of the stuff that's discovered.
Yep.
Is they'll find like these inside rock.
Yep.
Which clearly this isn't a natural formation.
Right. No.
There's and I'll get back here to see if I can find some more of the pictures. Like they've also found like this one, where they'll find, this is the London hammer. I don't know if you guys know much about that.
That's the
That was it was discovered in a 400 million year old layer.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Think
it's
about that.
this hammer.
Perfect hammer. Yeah, it's perfect size hammer.
And where was
Yeah,
that found? In London?
Yeah, it was near London, in the town London. Let's see, I'm trying to find. Yeah, oh, look at that awesome picture! Isn't that how close that is? Anyway, let's get that off. Yeah, so these are some things like I have a book down there, the Forbidden Archaeology, and it talks about these things where there's discoveries of seashells that looks like perfectly laser engraved, face in it, like a modern day emoji, on a shell that's in the Cretaceous, period layers. And so these shouldn't be there. This shouldn't exist. Right. And so I'm a big believer that these have got. So I mean, we had we had him on the show, and I was kind of surprised, but where his grandfather was the one that wrote all the information on Mu, church word, and he's not a believer in it at all. In the continent of Mu, and so he, and it's one of those. But there's definitely a group of people that believe that there was a Pacific continent. Yeah, that suddenly sank, and I've seen some things that that you could definitely see why that could be a possibility, because just some of the records. And if anybody, have you guys have all seen the maps, right, where Atlantis and Mu are located? Yeah. And this, if not, I can bring those up too. I say I've got it right here, so everybody can see. So it's a black and white photo for everybody to see. So
it's all good.
Yeah. So right here, off of the coast.
Atlantis. Yep.
Yeah, it's Atlantis, and this kind of coincides with Plato.
Right.
Where he talked about the Pillars of Hercules. That it was in the Atlantic, and here's Mu, which basically is, and I think this is where, for me, for the Polynesian cultures, there's so much similarity. I mean, it's just as plausible for me to think that there was something like this, and they ended up stranded in these different pockets. Then they hollowed out a tree and paddled their way across thousands of miles of ocean, right, to suddenly discover this tiny little atoll, and set up there and become a civilization there. I mean, it seems more this, because you can see where Hawaii, Fiji, Cook Islands, these are all different points where if it sank, boom, then those would be the survivors as opposed to the ones that traveled.
Right, and you can see, because it's a ring of fire, the volcanic activity could have easily have brought that all down. Something that's very interesting in relationship to land masses in the Pacific, specifically to the left of that map where Australia is. If you've ever seen the movie Dazed and Confused, okay? There's a movie.
That's a funny movie.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm wearing a shirt for.
Yeah.
All right.
But there's a scene in their history class, okay, and the guy's playing with the globe. If you look on that globe, there is a continent that is to the left of Australia. It's there.
Wow.
And that's one of the things that they always point out to in the Mandela effect.
Mandela, yeah.
But this is it's very, and they, using Google See and all these other methods, they know that there are large land masses that were in those areas.
Right.
So
well, I don't know if you know, Brian, that now you just touched that about Australia. I don't know if you know, New Zealand used to be to the northwest of Australia, and now it's at the southwest of Australia, and that's crazy. Speaking of Mandela effect,
that's the plate system, buddy. That's the ring of fire. That thing shake, rattles, and rolls.
And I remember because I was really good at geography when I was in school, so I remember exactly where it was. And I had a friend from New Zealand. So
the poles are shifting every so many years, so it changes the geographic, disclosure of everything.
Yeah. Now that Carlito says that, I think I feel like New Zealand used to be more to the northeast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Than to the southeast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I meant northeast, not northwest. I'm sorry.
No,
No,
I know
no,
exactly
but-
what you're saying though.
Yeah,
But
that's
that
what I
it's
meant.
like
was up
it feels
until-
like it used that when
Used
you
to
look
be
in
up
Australia, it
to the
used to be more here than
yeah,
down.
then down here.
But-
yeah, now it's down here. Yeah, exactly.
But that's
400
Yes.
million years in the ground, right?
yeah. And
You know-
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, a part of this also is what role does time travel play in this whole thing too?
And you know
Think
what?
about
Also, Brian, it can't
Yeah.
be a continental shift because Australia would have moved also. You know what I mean? So it can't be a continental shift. It's just strange that it's in a different location now.
Yeah, no, you know what? I mean, if you think, well,
You know what I mean?
right, I agree on that. Maybe it doesn't have as much connection to the volcanic activity
Right.
under the water, but you're right. It should not move whatsoever based on what we're doing. I mean, yes, things are moving there, but it's not
Right.
like a big
Not-
shift in there and everything.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you want to get into something else real quick since we're
Sure.
besides. So I was gonna say
All right.
Puma Punku. I mean, let's talk about that. That place is, it's perfectly strategically placed. These big concrete boulder
Beautiful.
wall elements that were like, there's no way, like they checked it. You can't even laser cut these things the way they're set. I don't know if Craig has a picture to pull up to show people what this thing looks like, but I mean, it's amazing, and it's been on so many different documentaries. It's been on Ancient Aliens, like every other episode they talk about it.
Yes, they do. A lot.
With the afro hair, he's always talking about that thing. I mean,
George Tsoukalos.
Yes.
Yeah, the one that says it's aliens. Yeah. So yeah, Puma Punku, it's actually in Bolivia. It's not in Peru. It's in Bolivia. But the stones are so precise on the cut, like almost diamond cut.
Spell that.
Which one?
That one we're talking about. Do you know how to spell it?
Yeah, Puma Punku. Yeah, it's PUMA PUNKU. It's in Bolivia.
Right.
And the stones are they're cut so precise and so sharp that if you put enough pressure to it, you will cut your finger. That's crazy, isn't it? The edge of those.
You can't squeeze a credit card between those.
Yeah. Piece of paper won't go through it.
Not even if you use Astroglide.
Yeah.
Oh God, Brian, you're crazy.
And then there's that's Puma Punku. I don't know if you can pull it up.
Yep, I'm getting one here.
Craig. Okay. They have like windows within windows within windows and carved in the stone. And man, it's awesome. It's
Look
awesome.
at the joints on that thing.
Yeah.
It's like virtually. We don't even make things like that anymore.
No. Yeah.
We've got ways of doing things pretty tight and close,
They're like
that one. There you go. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Where it's just like
it's a wall within walls, the doorway within doorways. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yes.
Well, and then there's like the Petra,
petroglyphs.
site.
Yeah.
Where my cursor just messed it up, but it's the one where they've carved it.
Yep.
And that's kind of we teased it a little bit on there at the beginning about let's see, I'm gonna stop sharing that. So what we need about some of the things, like possibilities, like how this came about, because obviously Ancient Aliens is it's in the name, it's aliens.
I think it was humans that did that with the help of just like what is it called? Ancient Aliens program says. I think it was humans that did it with the help of extraterrestrial alien technology.
And let's see, I'll bring this up here. It's on YouTube, like I said, when it gets so we'll bring it up here. But the same thing, we teased on it where people were starting to show where if you do take the sun, you can actually focal point it and you'll actually start burning the hole through the rock.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that could explain how, especially if you had somebody, with artistic thing, you could have somebody that could carve that window in a window thing using the sun. Obviously it's not something that you're going to be able to do.
It's very hard.
It's going to take time.
And very much
But you
time.
could definitely see somebody being able to carve something into a solid block, and it would make more sense. but it
Absolutely.
doesn't. Yeah,
Definitely,
and then,
definitely, primitive man was not capable of doing that back then. They had help from a higher energy source with something with a bigger brain power than what they had back in those days.
so
yeah,
like
that's
here's
huge. Yeah, that's
so
a huge.
all it is just they show just like simple, just like everybody knows, you put a magnifying glass, it's going to burn wood, but then when you actually put it, like this guy will take it and he'll put it through stone, and you'll end up where you'll be able to focal point it, and you can just melt it. It almost starts. It looks like lava is starting to form in that spot.
Yep.
Right.
And so that's where I think just by watching that, I feel like that has explained those holes.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
how those holes are drilled through rock.
When I remember seeing that one of the documentaries that had that on there, that was fascinating discovery. Now think about if they could drill the holes with that, then Carlito, you could probably. I mean, you guys are more on construction. You could probably, it'd take a long while, but you'd probably be able to cut a nice slice into something and keep working that slice if you could.
Yeah, there's diamond tip blades and drills that you can make, perfect circles like that. But back then, that's the thing. Back then, how did they do that?
They didn't have that.
And there's perfect circles in a rock, like say 2-3 foot rock, and a perfect cylindrical circle going right through it. Like, how did they did that? How did they do that?
Right there.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Right.
Perfect. Like they measure every, all the way through that cylinder, and it's the same exact,
Well, one culture we know definitely used some kind of device similar to that, but it was mostly from navigation, was the sunstones, through the Vikings. The Vikings used to use these crystal
That's
stones,
right.
and then they would line them up, and somehow they're able to navigate based on the reflection or the refraction of the light. But I got to assume they also use it to burn ants.
Then you got because I've been watching like Ancient Aliens for over 10 years, and I've been studying all this topic. That's why I chose this topic, because I love it. But there's another place, Craig, if you want to check it out. It's called Sacsayhuaman, something like that. I can spell it for you. See if you can pull it up. Yeah. It's SACSAYHUAMAN. And this place is also in the Inca ruins, close to Bolivia and Peru, which are border next to each other. And those stones, they're said to be molded like with heat, and made soft and placed. The Incas have a legend that they could heat up the rocks and mold them into whatever shape they wanted to at this place. You see those right there? And they basically molded them. They heated them up, and it said that you need over 3,000 degrees to heat them up to make them do that. Wow. Which nobody has ever tried, but that's the theory.
It's almost like stamped concrete of technology we have today with the stamped concrete, like sidewalks and whatnot. But this is a much larger scale. They didn't have that technology back then.
Exactly. There you go. That's the key point. And if you look at them, it looks like they made them into like clay or like Play-Doh and put them where they want it, and then they harden again, like stone hard. You know what I mean?
But here's the thing, Carlito.
Yeah.
Think about this. It's great they figured out whatever the 3,000. Who's handling it?
Right.
How are they handling it?
Exactly. Who showed them how to do that? You know what I mean?
Thing.
If they were so primitive against our civilization now, but I think it was different. They were so far advanced as far as they helping them with their advanced technology than them doing it on their own like we are now. See what I'm saying? So they were more advanced technology-wise, but we're more advanced social-wise. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this goes back to all the Mayans. That's how the Mayans did the pyramids and all that. And it's crazy.
I mean, you get into the South American culture in general, and it's not just Mayans and Aztecs that keep going.
Yep.
They all have the same legend or folklore. They talk about the Star People.
Yes.
Yeah, the Hopi Indians.
The Hopi
Indians, sandstone, their petroglyphs in the caves. I mean, they
Yes.
show the pictures and carvings of the star people. They're big, tall, white people with big, round, bulbous heads and big, filling, oval eyes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
in
I
their
mean,
cave horns.
what part of that, like I could see how this people getting some kind of not been given a laser beam or anything like that, but like, okay, we'll help you cut that, and they cut it for them. It's like nothing.
And then two guys. There's a place up north of that last place that Craig showed, like a couple hundred miles north, which is that's right in the heart of Peru, the Peruvian Andes. Actually, it's called Machu Picchu. I don't know if you guys heard of that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a city in the sky. Supposedly built for the gods, because that's why they're so high up in the mountains, because that was unheard of back then. And that place also has molded stones. And if you can pull it up on there, Craig, you can see the molded stones also within their walls, within their compound. Because how back then they used to make like little compounds, and as a city. I don't know if you ever looked into that.
About Machu
Picchu, yeah.
Machu Picchu.
Yeah, that's we're just make sure.
So there's like walls, you know what I mean, and
yeah, like this is the one like I'm going to bring up. This is the stair, like that looks like the staircase.
Yes, and it's sitting right on top of the Peruvian Andes, which is a mystery on itself, Yeah, look at that. I mean, that's
and this is one that's like you bring it up. This falls into kind of the line of with the Anunnaki and the giants, because there's this, and there's also let's see where it is. You've also got, let's see if I can find it here. This one. This is also another one where when you see these things, you can see the normal standard here. What would be the purpose of building what would look like a staircase that somebody would have to be 30 feet tall?
Yeah, climb it with a 10-foot ladder to get there.
Yes, those giant steps. Yes,
because you can see that these aren't kids; these are full-grown adults, and they're not even halfway up each step.
Why would they build them like that, right?
Yeah. So what would be the purpose? Because obviously it's not for agriculture, because you're not growing stuff on top of rock. So what would be the purpose of building?
And it's not a waterfall or anything like that, because it would be eroded. It would be, you could see the stone erosion if there was water.
Yeah, so it's those, and that's Laura, like you said right there, for giants, and that's one of the things where the Anunnaki, are reported to, because most people have seen the carvings. If not, I can bring up a picture where it shows one holding a lion.
Yep.
Like it's a cat, like it's our regular house cat.
Yeah. And
so that if anybody's seen a full-grown lion, well, you're not, something that's just holding it in their, dangling it down like they've got a Mancoon, cat that's not, that's something that somebody that's pretty big.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I don't discredit the giant theory and the Anunnaki actually. If you, I don't want to get into the Book of Enoch too much, but we know that the Watchers came down, had relations with the daughters of man, created the Nephilim. And Nephilim they're upwards of 30 feet tall. We're talking about real giants. Those steps. As soon as I saw those steps, when I first saw them, I was like, it has to be giants. Has to be large beings that are using that for a passageway or whatever they want. It's an incredible sight.
Yeah, that it really is.
Let's go. If you want to, since you're over there in that part of the world, you can go to the left of South America. Peru, and go to Easter Island. There you go.
Yeah, Easter Island. Those big heads coming out of the ground.
Actually, there's a place called the Mayan archaeological site of Palenque pyramids, and man, that's awesome. That's awesome. There's a deep sacred tomb under one of the temples. Lies a 7-foot sarcophagus. That's strange, right? 7 foot.
Yep.
Palenque is the 7th century ruler Pakal. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that.
Pakal,
Pakal, the Great, Pakal the Great, who was 7 to 8 foot tall. Speaking of the giants, speaking of those stairs.
That's
I
like
mean,
shack size, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was 8 feet tall. Who the Mayans worshipped at some kind of as some kind of god. There's a carving on his sarcophagus that depicts Pakal descending. You're gonna know this one. All you guys are gonna know this one. Descending into the Mayan underworld, but ancient astronaut think it's going towards space. It's the guy that he's in a ship, and he's sitting down, and he's got pedals, and he's got you
Metal,
guys know
metal.
that one, right? Yeah, that's him. That's the guy. That's Pakal, the Great. That they worshipped him as a god. So what is that telling you? He was like an alien of some sort, right?
Well, I mean, the ancient Mayans had the calendar systems, astronomy. I mean, they invented all that, so they had their their ways and technology before many other civilizations.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tenochtitlan, the pyramid, the Tenochtitlan, Mexico City. Those things are amazing.
Yes, the Teotihuacan. Yes, I didn't even get to that, but yeah, it's so many things to cover.
And the pyramids that whole culture in South America keeps rising. It goes well into North America, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know,
and that carving, it's a carving now. That carving where the guy's in a ship like that, that's a carving in one of the caves. But in the carving, it looks like Pakal is on board of a ship with controls and pedals and engine. And flame coming out of the bottom of the engine. So I mean, that's you guys, if you look into that,
it goes back to ancient Egypt too. I mean, it all keep going back before that. This ancient Samaria. I mean, it just keeps going back.
Well, I'm glad you did that because we haven't even touched on Göbekli Tepe, and that the Mesopotamia area because we've got the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which are these legends, and so
Valley of the Kings.
And this is where. I don't know if either any of you guys have ever kind of put this together. Ancient Egyptian, I'm still a believer that the ancient Egyptians were a second society to the pyramids, and the thing that they weren't the original.
I agree 100%. They weren't original,
and I think that has something to tie with like ancient Babylon, and back towards Göbekli Tepe in that area, because from all indications, there was water water erosion that's showing around the Sphinx, and the Hanging Gardens of Babylon were known for their amazing gardens. And so this is something that indicates that there used to be more water, that this used to be more of a wet climate than an arid desert, or else they had an amazing irrigation system where they knew how to pull water.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I mean, there's a lot of different cultures within that region alone that go back further than the Egyptians. I mean, you go to the Assyrians, the Assyrians, and go back to, you were talking about them before, the Anunnaki. That seemed to be their focus in that area. They're talking about some of these individuals were like 30 feet tall. You see a human being sitting on the lap like a child. In some of the hieroglyphics. They had technology. They had batteries. They had like what looked like a ray gun or like some kind of laser beam. There's tons of stuff there that says that the Egyptians were not the first ones there. And look at the Egyptian Book of the Dead that was written in a different type of codex that's totally unlike anything else that came out of Egypt. I mean, that's an incredible place.
Well, I'll bring up a picture here for anybody that's not super. I mean, everybody should be familiar with this, but everybody's seen the great, the pyramids,
Giza.
But the ones on the bottom here, I'm not even going to. The names are failing me right now, but these were built after these.
Yep.
Not the other way around. So the biggest credence I've given to this theory that they weren't the creators of this. How do you go from being able to make such an amazing structure as the Great Pyramid of Giza, with its capstones, with all this stuff, but then it's like they forgot. They suddenly forgot how to do it, and now they're doing these simple, which you would see in South America, the step pyramid.
Right.
It's like they forgot how to do it.
No, it doesn't make sense at all. But I'm going to.
These should be more elaborate than these ones.
Here's something that I was looking into while we were talking about doing this. We're in Egypt now, right? What about in 1909 when G.E. Kincaid found all that Egyptian artifacts in the Grand Canyon? He found a room that was 700 feet long by 50 feet high.
Mhm.
And it was filled with a sarcophagus and objects, not only for man, but for something that should be 30 feet tall, like lances for a 30-foot tall person, and hieroglyphics all over the place.
Are you talking about Sego Canyon in Utah?
No, it's actually you can't. It was in the Grand Canyon. Kincaid was kind of hanging out there. He noticed something weird about the rock formation. 2,000 feet up.
Wow.
He figured a way to get into it. He climbed for like a day, got into this cave that went for like 50 or 75 yards, and then it opened up to a huge room. And off these rooms were chutes of other rooms, and they were filled. They were filled with Egyptian artifacts.
Yeah.
They were filled with I forgot the artifact of the individual, the person in a lotus position. It's very Indian,
Right.
based out of India, with the petals behind it, and like a typical pose. It had a ton of weird crap in there, and they found skeletons that were like at least 30 feet tall.
And that's why it's a no-fly zone now.
Yeah.
There's basically a forbidden zone.
Yes.
Grand Canyon.
You'll get shot down.
And you know what? It's funny you say that, because I did want to bring that up, and it's right next to it, which is in it's called Sego Canyon, and it's in Utah, and there are petroglyphs, just the same as you're saying. There's petroglyphs of weird-looking creatures that have antennae, kind of like I don't know, you would say, space creatures or aliens at that, and they have antennae on their heads, and halfway around the world in Kimberley, Australia, there are exact same depictions, exact same as in Sego Canyon. That's halfway around the world. Why would they be the same? It's the same thing you're talking about at Grand Canyon and the Egyptian artifacts that they found there, right? Why would it be there if they're from around the world, right? All the way to Egypt.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and
that's where part of it, the ancient traveler theory, and
they were. I'm sorry, they were done 1,500 years ago. Those cave drawings. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of fits in, because where like Plato talked about, Atlantis being past, in the Atlantic, that's always been, because one of the things like that forbidden archaeology, they talk about in the Amazon basin finding a gold tablet with Egyptian hieroglyphics on it. Shouldn't be there. Nope. Well, obviously, if that civilization can travel to some location that's like Atlantis that's here, it's real easy to keep traveling. Same way, if you follow along the coast of Africa, this point between Brazil and right here is a real short distance. That's not a long travel distance.
You can't crop that up a little bit, Craig?
I'm trying to find a bigger. I'll see if I can find a closer one. I'm notorious for finding small pictures.
Put your computer on full screen. It'll enlarge it for yourself, Carlito.
Oh yeah, or if you're doing it on a cell phone, you
Everybody
can touch
put
it
the full screen.
Yeah, you can pinch and zoom.
Oh, you know what? I'm zooming in on mine.
There you go.
Yeah, you can pinch and zoom in.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it makes it, it's kind of like the
that
bridge
makes
over in
sense.
Alaska, Bering Strait. But something else that we were working on, I'm working on with a buddy of mine. There's symbols near each one of these really crazy sites, and they always find very similar symbols, and it's circles within a circle. Like it looks like a corkscrew, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are also reports, and I can't get specific because I'm not recalling the different cultures, but around the world that talk about individuals, like people in Japan talking about strangers that looked very reminiscent of Vikings or Egyptians, and vice versa. What if there were, and I'm going to say it, portals throughout the world, this ancient world? Portals that would open up and transport individuals from point A to point B.
Yes, exactly, and that's what I wanted to bring up, guys. I think the pyramids. This is just my theory. I think the pyramids were like an actual connection around the world, where they can go in one pyramid and come out the other pyramid all the way around the world. You know, kind of like a portal kind of thing, kind of like a Stargate kind of thing, if you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just
not too far. That's not too far fetched. I mean, I wonder, would it work the same now?
Right. Well, that's where you got to have all that energy. That it was actually the pyramids were actual generators. That's what they were. But they had to have gold, mercury, and all that to generate that power for them to shoot up a thing, you know, up in the air, some kind of beam or whatever, and they will all link up, and you can travel to whichever you wanted to instantly.
Someone said ley lines. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Something very interesting too, less the generation of the electricity, is you could use sound waves to levitate. You could use sound waves to do a ton of different things. By the way,
frequency.
Yeah,
right. Frequency and tone. It's and I've always thought that when I've been to Stonehenge a bunch of times, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's a burial site, or it's like a lodge for some of the men to come hang out."
Nah, I think it was more like a Stargate.
But here's where I'm thinking how it worked. I'm thinking that because they had a bunch of individuals, and the way the stones would have been set up, the ones that are missing as well, I think it was audio based, and they literally would in unison hum or sing at a certain pitch, and it would start bouncing off the rocks at a different, and eventually start building up, because there are a couple of these ancient sites where they say that sound is 1,000 times louder in those sites than any place else.
Yeah.
And they can't explain why it's that way.
Well, Brian, we have touched on this before in other shows when me, you, Al, and Tom, that frequency vibrations, they actually use that to lift those huge 20-ton rocks in the pyramids of Giza.
Guy did it in Florida with coral.
And it's sound. Yeah, and it's frequency, sound frequency that makes it levitate.
And the one thing, in Coral Castle, they have copper within the actual coral, which is very odd. Yeah, no, I've known about frequency, sound, vibration, and consciousness for a long time now, and we've been doing a lot of testing with it a while, and that seems to be a very important.
Yes, somebody brought in some UFOs using frequency and vibration on Discovery Plus, Brian. I remember that.
We did. We never got, we never got credit for that. They always, it's what they usually do. They'll take credit themselves, but they weren't going that direction. But and then I brought it. Al brought it, and then everything was now frequency sound. But we've been doing this for a while.
And also too, Brian, if you notice, it's always been said that aliens are very, very interested in the gold on Earth, right? Yep. And they have found residuals of gold in the pyramids all around the world. I'm talking about Mexico, Egypt, all the pyramids around the world. And that's like what it said is that they need that, kind of like the guy from what is it called, Tom, Back to the Future, that old guy. Where he needs to,
Doc Brown. Yep.
Yeah, he needs that kilowatt something.
Gigawatt.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's what it is. They need that as a superconductor to generate to generate that power that they need. And they also use mercury, which is another superconductor, and gold is a superconductor. So that's why I think it's so valuable to them. To us, it's just valuable because it's a precious metal, but they have more value because it actually helps them do something. You know what I'm saying?
Well, mercury is amazing. I mean, you can manipulate it to do whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So
liquid metal. I mean, there's nothing like it in this earth. Nothing else like it.
What I came up with is in every cultural, song and drum was very prominent. So that would lead back to the sound frequencies of the vibration to activate the portals. They get on their drums and it just activates the portals and then it sends you to a different wherever you want to go.
Yes, because it raises the vibration, it raises the frequency.
Just like certain pyramids, the way the sound's set up, on the way where they're built on those ley lines. If you get to a certain point and you play a certain harmonic with vibration or frequency, you can actually time travel to a different portal and get to another dimension just from being at the pyramid at the right spot at the right time.
We have up in the Northeast, we have a lot of these. They're called stone chambers. A couple of people have said, "Oh, they're cold cellars and built by the Native Americans." They're not, in my opinion.
No.
One of them that we've investigated, and we have video of this online. But if you go in this room, it's about 10 feet by 10 feet, right? And the back wall is one giant stone. And if you look at it through the naked eye, you'll see nothing. But if you use infrared or UV, you'll see 4 runic symbols on there. And we did it like it was fire. It was almost like earth, wind, and fire and water, But we were in there testing at one point, and we like to use Tibetan singing bowls. And I had my FLIR going, and Al just came back from getting a temperature gauge, and I'm doing the singing bowl, the tone, and I kid you not, on the FLIR, you see this purple start coming up and like almost a ring. And what really blew me away was I could have sworn we saw a head peek in and come back out. I think we opened a portal using this tone. But what's interesting is, that Skinwalker Ranch, when they brought the rabbi guy in, and he started doing the chants and tones, same color, same everything started taking place.
Now, real quick, I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
Okay, for anybody, I don't want to spoil it for anybody that's not watched the show, but it's one of those for me. I'm talking with my friend and mentor, Joey Medea. He's kind of the same thing right here. I think they discovered more than they're able to say.
Yes,
I agree with you 100%.
That's why it's edited, because if everybody's watched the show, the second episode, they had the one where they're trying to figure out where the water disappeared to. And so they dig, and then they fill it up again, and it disappears. Well, then they never touch about it again.
Yep.
It's going somewhere. So I think they found something, but they're not able to talk about it. They have to keep moving along.
I think they're getting stopped by the powers that be because they don't want anybody to know what's going on there, really.
Yeah, only so much they're letting them allow it to put on TV to show the general masses, because they don't want to get people all crazed out and see what's really going on there.
Yeah, because we'll talk like you guys for your investigations. Like when you go for Dogman or Bigfoot, if you guys get evidence, like you actually like Bryan, when you use sound and stuff comes in.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you keep doing it? Why would you stop?
Exactly.
That's the thing.
I personally wouldn't stop. We're actually planning on doing a series of investigations, but starting out with different tones and going slowly building up to see what the reaction is. It's kind of like the same thing. Why did we only go to the moon and now we're not? Because we can't find the records. Give me a break.
Yeah, they lost them.
Give me a break.
Hey guys, I got a fun fact that I would like to share. As a lastly thing for me. Tom was talking about the sounds and also Bryan. There's a this is in the Mayan ruins, right? It's called Chichen Itza, and there's I don't know, you guys probably heard of that, right? Chichen Itza, and it's got a group of pyramids there. They're small. They're not as tall as Giza or the ones in Teotihuacan. They're small, but anyway, there's one. That's why I said this is a fun fact. There's one that there's a video, and you guys can look this up also, in Chichen Itza. And there's one video of a guy that he said that they designed the pyramid so well that there's the steps going up, and there's a little like room up the very top, and it's got a doorway with no door, right? Just a doorway. So the sound that travels up when you clap right in front of it, you clap, the sound travels up, goes into the room, all the way inside of the room, and out again, kind of like those whistles or whatever, that's how they work. And when you clap, it comes back as a sound of like a bird. It goes ooh ooh ooh, and that said that it was used to call or invoke. What's the god's name?
What's it called?
Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl is kind of hard to say. Yeah, him. And so they did that like especially for him, like to call him like a Batman signal kind of. And man, that's awesome. Yeah, it's really cool.
You got to clap on for God.
Yeah, yeah.
Clap on.
Clap off. Yeah.
Didn't you go there last year, Carlito, when you
Do
were in
what?
Mexico? Didn't you go
Yes.
to Mexico?
Yeah.
Because I remember you took a picture and some video of it.
Yes, yes, I did the pyramids in Teotihuacan. That's really close to Mexico City. I traveled there last year when my dad died. He was back living in Mexico, so I went ahead and went to Teotihuacan to take pictures and everything. The only bad thing it was the COVID thing, so they only let so many people in, so we couldn't get in that day. So I think they only let like maybe 200 people, right? And there's a long line, and we didn't get to go in, or else I could have took pictures inside or whatever, illegally, whatever. That's what I wanted to do anyway, but I couldn't, so I could only take them from like afar, from outside the compound, barrier or whatever. But I did go to a couple like museums and stuff like that. But the main important thing is inside the those at the top, because you can climb them. You can climb all the way to the top. I wanted to take a selfie so bad up there, man, and couldn't. I couldn't because they didn't let us in all the way.
Yeah.
But it's cool because like they say, and I've been there actually. What is it? March 20 something, where the equinox thing, the spring equinox, right? March.
Right.
Can't remember the date.
25th.
25th, something like that. 26. Yeah.
It's around there.
Yes, they say that's when the sun is the closest, whatever, blah blah blah. It's an equinox. Yeah. So you go that day. You wear a white shirt and you go all the way to the top. And this is the sun pyramid, because they got the sun, they got the moon, and they got all these other smaller ones. But the tallest one, which is the sun, and they say you can feel the energy and vibration up there when you're wearing a white shirt, because that's where the sun attracts the sun rays and all that, and it's awesome. I did that one time many years ago, and you can feel that super energy in you. It's awesome, man.
Yep.
If y'all ever have a chance to go down there, man, you should check it out.
I went to Cozumel once. I wanted to go to the pyramids, but they wanted to go snorkeling. So
Right before he takes off, I want to make sure to give him a plug. Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom with Carlito and Tom. So go check out that. Go check out that group. Go join that. Follow along and stuff. Especially like that. So because I know you got a jet here, so you can go pick up the wife there. So
yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Like I said, and just we'll chat on. Like I said, we'll get later on about next one, because we'll definitely be doing another show. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely, man.
All right, man. We'll see.
Out of Facebook jail by then too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Need to be.
Yeah.
Released. Habitual offender, Bryan.
Yeah,
we still got
freedom, brother. We gotta let freedom ring.
Yeah, like I said, we still got a few minutes. I just want to make sure the plug, so that way, if you get out here and make sure you got plugged there. So
yeah.
All right, man. Well, have a good night.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. I'll see you guys later, man. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you, guys. Tom, Bryan, Craig, Chris.
Like April was saying, it's all conjecture. I mean, we're all just going by facts and historical stuff, and everything that's in books and history and things we've seen and accounts we've heard of, and it's a lot of it's speculation until we can actually be at this location and prove it. Don't have the 100% evidence, but like you've done, Bryan, like the research you've done, the research I've done, we don't have to speculate. We can see the scientific facts on what's based on the outcome of things that we do. But this technology stuff, I mean, it's all based on facts, science, and history.
Yeah, the problem you have with all this right here, I thoroughly believe there are a lot of archaeologists and individuals that are scientists that know there's more to this, and they know what a lot more of it is. It's just
they can't say it.
They can't, because it takes our society the way it is. In the fossil record, it says "see ya," and it causes a problem. Well, they think it's going to cause a problem, but if we did this early enough, it wouldn't have caused that much of a problem. The public wasn't as educated as it is today. It may cause that problem today, because then you get the anarchy thing, like, well, if you're not the boss and aliens are, screw this, I'm going to go rob a bank. I'm like, no, dude, don't rob a bank.
Well, we're in the age of Aquarius with enlightenment now, and on top of everything else, our minds are expanding because we're in the age of Aquarius. But the powers that be want to keep dumbing us down, so they'll keep trying to cover everything up, and they're not going to allow things to be disclosed like it should be.
Yeah,
plain and simple.
I think it's coming where I think we've passed that point of no return, and there are a lot more people waking up to what really is taking place. And people, the ones, there's always that percentage of any population, they're going to be left behind. And there are others that are opening their mind to things that are out there. It's, you can't just sit by and just sit in front of the idiot box. You got to get out there and see stuff,
Yeah, got to get out and do things, and be part of the environment, being with the elements, and see what's really going on in the world. You could feel the energies all day long if you just get out into the environment. Close out all the noise of the day and get out somewhere solitude, up in a mountain, anywhere. I mean, you could feel it all. You can feel the energy.
I recommend, in Florida, you got a lot of stuff down there that can kill you, so you got to know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah, watch some alligators.
It's not just the alligators. Like, you walk into shit, oh, what the hell is that? It's like, it's all freaky down there. But I always tell people, like, get the gimp ball out of your face and let's go. They have the mask on everywhere they're going. Just take it off. You're outside. The sun's out. Stop. You don't have to wear this. It's dumbing you down right now. Go into the woods. That was the worst part about this whole thing is, now here was that time where we had the free time, and Al and I did a bunch of different investigations, not as many as we wanted to, but it was still unsure for, like, well, I think there is something going on, but I got to be cautious. But I we could be going to the woods and doing like a Sasquatch thing, or it's just you, like you said, Tom. You got to get out there and just do it.
Absolutely. I had something earlier when you said, you were playing your harmonic bowl. If we just so happen to open one of them portals, we would have to be really quiet about it, because the AV boys would be at the house like, hey, you better not say nothing about it. Look, I opened a portal and I ended up in the Grand Canyon. I traveled to the Grand Canyon. That would be an experience of a lifetime, but you couldn't really tell too many people.
Right. But you know what the problem with that is? See, this is where I was thinking about this, right? So let's say when we do these experiments, we open that portal, right? And we see a window, and we're like, okay, I'm not going through it.
You're not?
But my drone will be.
There you go.
You don't know where that shit's going to let you out.
You don't know what's going to come out, yeah.
Yeah.
You go into
you might wind up in Ukraine.
you may wind up like 1,000 years behind. And you're like, oh, this is like Land of the Lost type of shit. I don't need that.
Look over, and there's a T-Rex looking at you.
Yeah, like, it's like, oh shit.
I'm gone. I'm a thrill seeker. They'll be like, well, we opened a portal and Chris, one of the beards disappeared, and we don't know
where he is right now.
It's just like that movie with Meryl Streep where she's a president. And they go to another planet, and this big thing just comes up and eats her.
It's the time travel. All the paradox stuff. One of the things you do is, if you believe, before you go through that portal, you write yourself a little note on a plaque that says, "Don't do this."
Yeah.
So that way, if something does happen to you, when things come back around, because you get right back to the same point.
Hey, a portal.
Because you'll just say, "Don't go through the portal." It's like, oh, wow, why would then eventually one of your times you're going to actually figure out, like, hey, I'm not going to go through that portal.
Yeah,
and save yourself.
And if you get the quantum theory too, what timeline are we on? Are we on our timeline, or am I jumping 2 times over? Or 3 up, or what? I got enough problems right now. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I was single, I got nothing else going. Yeah, let's go. Have a 6-pack, couple smokes, let's go. But I just can't. I mean, it would be interesting. That's why I figured if you have a drone with a live camera on it, right? Worst comes to worst, you lose $50, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until you figure out another way of doing something else, like maybe sending it in there, and somehow you get these things back. You don't know what's on the other side of that portal.
That would be crazy.
And you don't know what you're going to bring back either. You could bring back something that's, some kind of crazy. You could be doing a whole panspermia back to here of something else.
Space herpes and stuff.
You saw that movie, what was that? Prometheus. You're going to be like Prometheus all over again.
Well, that's what I thought about when they discovered some of those ice samples. They found these, these worms and stuff from there, and they're going to reanimate them. I'm like, no, don't do that.
No.
Don't do that.
Somebody's stomach and pop out, and they're going to be like, just like aliens.
it's you know what, this is where science gets crazy. Like, oh, we could do it, we got everything, you know. Open up a microwave door, there's nothing on it to stop it, and they're going to reanimate it. Guys, there's a reason why it's dead, you know. That's kind of like you're digging around someplace, you find a body with a stake in it, and like, should we pull it out? I'm not pulling that out. I would you know, I just wouldn't pull a stake out of somebody, you know, because they may have thought maybe it was a vampire. You know,
He comes back alive, and
oh, dude, that would just be like, damn it! Why do we pull the stake out? Al would be screaming at me the whole damn time. Told you, don't pull the stake out. You know, it'd be like
an idiot like me have been done, pulled the stake out and tossed it, and then he came alive, and I'm like, oh shit, Craig,
run!
The stake. Run!
Yeah, it's like that. Run.
Run.
Yeah. Well, it's for me. It's always coming to. I've always loved, and I found it here. I've always loved the thing from Jurassic Park. They're so preoccupied with whether they could that they didn't stop to think if they should.
Yep, it's the truth. You know, I mean, they're doing tests right now with gene splicing, putting monkeys and glowing fish together and pigs, and it's like, this is wrong.
Chimeras. They're gene splicing humans and other animals to make, you know, to get donor parts for people with sicknesses and whatnot. You know, using stem cell and all that. It's crazy. We're playing God, and it's not how things are supposed to be.
Yeah,
it's going to wind up biting us in the ass in the long run.
They just did an experiment like that a couple months ago. Like, the guy's got the first pig heart.
Yeah, the pig heart. Yep.
You got a pig heart. This old ticker right here came from a pig.
There's that video of that thing that's crawling on the ground. It's animated, you know, flesh of a human, and it's just flopping around on the table.
Is that the black stuff? The black liquid?
It looked like a part of a body part that was growing, like an organ, and it had like animation to it.
Oh man, no. You know what? I mean, I'm not. It's just, there's certain things we shouldn't be doing. It's just, you know.
No.
It's crazy what's going on. And that's all that stuff that washes up from Plum Island and stuff, you know, up the shore. Like, what the hell is it? Looks like an eagle. Looks like a monkey. Looks like a chicken. I mean, you just, you know, what?
Griffin just starts flying down.
Yeah.
Well, that's where the Thunderbird came from. So who knows?
Yeah. It's going to be one of those roar, you know, like slow motion running. It's great. Yeah. Whatever they do, just make sure you could run faster than the other guy.
And then Godzilla and King Kong come back. So, you know, those movies are disclosure stuff to show people that, you know, things like this are really going on.
The minute the reactor went in Japan, I said, you know, this is how Godzilla starts, right?
Yeah.
This is how every Godzilla movie started. You watch 20 years from now, it's going to be like some giant lizard.
Komodo dragon just happened to walk through that, you know, Fukushima, you know, zone. And that.
Everybody's going to talk like that. Godzilla.
Yeah, it's just going to be the whole, oh, Godzilla! Then the guns are going to, and then, you know, takes down the towers. Yeah. Every time.
I'll tell you what, if I ever get to Japan, I gotta bring a Godzilla outfit with me. Gotta.
Oh yeah.
Just to see the reaction. I'll probably get arrested. You know, the Yakuza are like, oh no.
I know everybody loves it too, because, you know, a friend, I still laugh. It was like we went to Epcot, you know, and he goes into the Japan pavilion, and he's like, oh, do you guys have any Godzilla? And they're like, oh, no Godzilla. You know, they're showing him all this stuff, and I'm laughing at him. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, oh, Godzilla. You know, they're like, oh, no Godzilla.
They should start selling Godzilla.
Meanwhile, the security's escorting you out, and, you know.
I'm just like, oh.
It's small world security. Come on.
Yeah, I loved it. It was just, it's fun, but those movies are fantastic. You know, rest in peace that, you know, the original Godzilla. You know, he was a good one. But no, I said this is just fun. I enjoyed it.
We're all around the spectrum today, starting with technology, ancient civilizations, and we ended up with Godzilla.
I know. Yeah, that's the beauty of our show. We never know where we're going to end up.
Yeah, we go down the rabbit hole every episode. It doesn't matter if it starts off with one topic and if we just purge down a rabbit hole into everything.
We're moving away from the people getting kicked off, though, because we're being very careful now, Ginger, about the Central Intelligence Agency. Where is he? So that's good, though.
I've always just kind of gone with that method where it's just like you don't have to be, afraid to talk, but you also don't have to go up and just punch him in the nose like I'm here, because it never works out for you. It's like trying to sneak out of the house. You might get away with it, you may not, but the idea isn't to walk up to Dad and just punch him in the nose and because you're going to get grounded right away. I mean, it's just
we all can't be like Bam Margera and put firecrackers under our dad's ass while he's sleeping.
Or an alligator in his mom's kitchen. That's cool.
Oh, he got his though. I mean, that new Jackass one where they did the high five thing. He came walking. I don't know if you guys saw that one.
No, I didn't see it.
They have the giant hand that's spring loaded, and so they just come walking. Ezra come walking in. He's holding on, I think, some food and a drink, and the guy comes like, "Hey, high five!" And he goes up here, and this giant hand just smacks him and just lays him out.
Dude, he's been in a bad spot ever since Dunn died. He's a wreck. So, but great show, Jackass.
Johnny Knoxville got his butt handed to him this last week on wrestling on one of the Friday night SmackDowns. They cast on finally. He got his ass handed to him, but it was probably all for show and tell and scripted. That's all scripted stuff. It's not real.
Hey, it's wrestling. I grew up on that stuff, and my dad looked like Lou Albano, so it was always fun.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we get here. I'm going to get this same thing, same treatment, equal opportunity here. Go to North Carolina Cryptid and Paranormal Project. Go to the site and check him out there.
That's
join that. Let's see if we can't get this to 3,000 members. We're getting there. 2.3.
Yeah, that's nice.
Also got a YouTube channel and a TikTok and a Instagram if anybody's interested. So feel free to, log in, check me out, hit me up. Welcome aboard.
Do you have those linked on here?
I don't know if they're linked on the Facebook, or are you on the Facebook right now or no?
Yeah, I'm on there. I'm trying to see if they're.
I'm not sure if they're linked. I know the YouTube has the links for the other channels and whatnot, but
they have
my tech guy on that.
Yeah, is that you or your who's your tech guy?
My tech guy is my wife.
Yeah, there you go. No, they have something called Link Buddy or something like that, where you put all your links into one
tree.
area.
Yeah, the link trees. Yeah, and I got to do one too.
Yeah, I have to do it myself because we're on everything.
Yeah,
even things you've never even heard of, we're on.
No,
I'm the tech guy, And Al's
I know.
What the hell are we on this for? I'm like,
who's your tech guy? Hold on a second. Let me go get him for you.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm the tech guy. How can I help you?
I just signed up. Boom, boom, boom. But only recently, TikTok and Snapchat you've been able to upload about 3 minutes worth of video, or do a quick something with it. But yeah, we just try to do everything. I think it's the best way. Go talk to your tech girl.
I need to call the Geek Squad from Best Buy and get them out here quick.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's one of those when you have some of these things, it's like you want to do it and you realize you're like, it's like this for the show. I look up and all of a sudden it's Tuesday night or Wednesday morning and I'm like, oh crap, I haven't even done the post. I'm like, oh my God, quickly get one out. And it's just like, it's a fall.
Yeah, I need to jump on mine because I'm having Miss Ada on Saturday night for my live.
She's awesome.
And I did not even promote it yet. I'm in the group, so I need to get on that.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast time just flies.
Yeah.
And then Bryan.
She's great. Yeah, I have, when I'm not in Facebook jail, we have a couple different YouTube channels. I'm working on my website, bryanbowden.com right now. I'm updating our BPS, Bronxville Paranormal Society website. So what I'm doing is I'm putting in some of the alternative groups because we're the New York State UFO Project, New York State Sasquatch Organization, and we're doing a New York State Dogman thing. And we're I got in trouble for all that stuff. So we're gonna put it. I'm gonna have it go to specific sites because we take a lot of audio reports. We have a BPS number and a New York State UFO Project number. You can call, leave a message with any time. Just helped out a couple of people. But we want to be able to have someone fill out a report if they have a report or something. and do that. That's the whole project. It's just doing it. If you're doing it yourself, it just takes forever, especially if you have young kids and stuff. So
yeah, you work full time, you do all this stuff. Yeah, no, we get it. It's so, and then it's like us, and then now it's our turn. 3beerspodcast.com. You can check us out there. We're on everything else. We are on. Check out our social media as well. We have TikTok. We just we're almost at 2,000 followers now, so we can actually go live on there. So now I got to figure out some way to do that to where we can stream at the same time on TikTok. So I got to work on that because I'm gonna have to get another static camera. But so we can do that. It's Instagram. We have 2 accounts. We had Beer Vault where we do a lot of just like the actual just story type thing. Then we have our normal podcast one. We're on Twitter, obviously YouTube and Facebook. So check us out on that. Redbubble.com is where you can support the show by going there and grabbing some merchandise, or you can go to 3beerspodcast.com, go to the merchandise thing there too. We're looking for a sponsor. $61. You can have us as your personal media people. We will throw your stuff out there. So I mean, just that's all it takes. So if anybody's interested, boom, just
$61,
$61 a month.
Dang.
Oh, a month. Okay, that's not that bad.
No, we're on Telegram too. You on Telegram, Brian?
Yeah, I've been on Telegram before all you guys were on Telegram.
Yeah,
I'm on Telegram. What's great about Telegram is you can have your own channel, and I'm trying to figure out. I almost got the live stream where we connect what you're doing right now into your Telegram as well, and they can't ban you on that. So,
yeah.
Wow, there you go. So So I'm write that down. Just
Telegram.
Yeah, and so we do that. So just like I said, we're looking for sponsors. So if anybody wants to, if not, you can go to also patreon.com, become a beardo, support us that way too. So any support we love. I mean, just main thing, like with anything with YouTube, the YouTube chat has really blown up in the last few weeks. And that really is awesome because that really helps, so just the comments, just people just having conversations back and forth. YouTube absolutely loves that aspect. So just comment, just is awesome. And so we appreciate that. Once again, like I said, with you guys, Carlito, but man, Tom, Bryan, I mean, I can't thank you guys enough for coming on, and not only just coming on, but being willing to keep doing this. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
It's fun.
So next month, we'll come up with a topic for next month too. We'll find something fun to get on to.
Okay. Yeah. Whose turn is it anyway?
I have no idea.
I think it's your turn, Brian.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, I'll figure something
Bryan
out.
or Chris?
Chris. Actually, Chris. Why don't you
Chris,
take
what do
it,
you
brother?
think?
We'll let Chris take it.
So think about it. Like I said, we'll come up with another one there.
We got the group chat. Just hit us up.
Yep.
Oh, and another thing, since you got so many people on your YouTube now,
Mhm.
enable your super chat.
Okay.
Enable the chat and then super chat. This way, people could send you money like $2, $5, $10, $100. So it's a great way to raise. You're not going to get the whole thing because it's YouTube. They're going to take their cut, but you're going to make something off of it, and that'll help you guys out as well.
Yeah, I'll see if we have that as an option.
Oh yeah, just go in the back end. You'll see it.
Yeah, so we'll look at that, and then that's Laura Bryan, the Facebook felon.
God bless America.
Yeah, that's it right there, Bryan.
There you go, Laura. Nope.
Oh, America.
Yeah, no, but that's what he's fighting for freedom one post at a time, and then he has to sit down and time out for a little while.
I basically posted a
fact checker. Brian.
A stammering idiot that currently is sitting in some capacity of
mommy's basement
charge, and I said anybody that voted for said stammering idiot should be throat punched, and they said it went against their community guidelines.
I think they pick on people who they don't like, because I tell Craig I report random stuff that is violent, and they look at me and say, I'm not a snitch, but I just do it, and they come back and say, well, this was deemed not against our policy.
Yeah, I get that all the time. They don't even let me see,
just unfriend them.
They don't even let me see my status anymore on Facebook. It was perpetually yellow. I was always in the yellow. Everybody's green, green, green. Mine was always yellow. It's like, one more, mister. And you're going to be like, yeah, fuck that. I got 10 more for you.
I've dodged them for a little while. I get
Yep.
warnings all the time.
Yeah. And then
All
I
right,
laugh
sir.
at bad
Let it
kitty
get time,
photos.
guys.
Yeah.
Great show. Great show.
Thanks. Yeah, we're rebroadcast on ERRT radio every Wednesday night after Joey and Tanya. So we got to follow them, and so we try to live up to the hype, So thanks to Ron for doing that too. But yeah, just once again, just everybody, thanks for watching. Bryan, Tom, Carlito, appreciate it again. We'll be in touch, like I said, and we'll see what we're going to do here in April. Keep this up. But like I said, everybody, have a great night. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. We're going to be talking to Mark Olshaker. He's going to talk about his new book about the serial killer book. So as I said, we're going true crime on this next one. So this is going to be a lot of fun. So, all right, everybody, have a great night. We will see you next Wednesday.
Good night.
Night.
Yeah.